So, do you want to be a millionaire? Recently, I was on a coaching call with one of my students from the Kick-Ass Investing Academy. She was mentioning how she wanted to be a millionaire and how she felt like it was an out-of-reach goal for her. She was in her younger 20s and she worked a really great engineering job for a very stable company as well. And the truth is, hitting $1 million often feels like this milestone that is impossible to hit, especially if you're in your 20s and 30s. But the truth is, it's not as hard as you think. But the caveat is, you can't wait. You need to start today. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about how to retire as a millionaire with an income of 80K or less. And don't worry, you won't need to start a business or take a guru course. So let's dive into it. Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kevin. I'm actually a former pharmacist, YouTuber, and millennial personal finance guide, not guru. And on this channel, I teach young professionals how to simplify investing, cut out the noise, and make investing fun again so they can automate their investments, create real passive income, and start being that kick-ass investor that they always knew they could be. So I want to tell you a story. When I was growing up, I thought that being a millionaire was the ultimate dream. I would watch these cartoons. One of the cartoons that comes to mind is this cartoon called DuckTales, where, they would dive into a sea of coins and money and all that and be having a blast. I mean, that's what all millionaires do, right? But as you can imagine, as I got older, that dream died really, really quick. See, the thing is, growing up, my dad and mom, they weren't really rich growing up and they knew nothing about the stock market. They were just stashing the cash in the bank. So maybe you're a lot like, for myself, I wanted to level up my family and take us to the next social status. My parents did a great job at doing that, giving me a great foundation, but I wanted to take it up to the next level. But the only problem was I didn't know any millionaires. And I think a lot of us don't really know these people as well. They almost seem like unicorns sometimes. Like, you've heard about them, but you never seen or met one. I mean, after all, how many family members and friends you know that are swimming in a pool of cash? I don't know any. That all changed until I met my uncle, who was the first millionaire that I met. He wasn't super fancy, and hell, I don't really think he even had a six-figure job back then. But the one superpower that he did have was the art of investing. He was really good at it. So I wanted to teach you the basic framework that my uncle taught me. And I want to add some of the flair that I learned through the School of Hard Knocks trying to do this strategy. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how much you need to retire and talk about the step-by-step actionable steps of how to reach this number as well. And for your knowledge, we're not going to be talking about business income and all that, although you can definitely use that as well. By the end of this video, you know exactly how to retire making 80K per year. So let's dive into it. So the first question before you start is, how much do you need to retire? And the truth is, it depends. If you're living the guru lifestyle with the Lambos and all that, chances are it'll catch up to you. You'll run out of cash super quick. But if you're like normal people, let's assume that you retire at 60. Well, how much money do you really need? Well, the real problem that we have to think about is cash flow. See, one of the things that people try to do is get this whole lump sum of cash and then pretty much break it up over the lifetime of their retirement. And that's why starting businesses is so great, because if you have a cash flow business, then every single month you can expect that cash to come in and you can live off that money as well. So how do you determine how much cash flow you currently need? Well, one indicator is, how much are you making right now? And at a bare minimum, matching that same pay. Keep in mind, there's things like inflation and all that, so you have to keep in mind with that. But if you're making about 80K, you're pretty much making about $6,700 per month. And take home, that's about 4K per month, depending which state you are in and all that sort of stuff. But you'll probably need that as a baseline. So if we reverse engineer that number and we're just like, okay, we need about 4K per month of take home. And if we're living off 4% of our net worth, then we'll probably need about 1.2 million post-tax money to retire, which might closely look like 2 to 3 million to retire with taxes. Now, these numbers are estimates, they're not absolutes, but that's how I calculate how much money you need to retire. Now, there's other ways to figure this out using the 10-year income approach and 80% income approach, but we're not going to be talking about those today. So how do you build up to this level? Well, the first step to do is to start something like a Roth IRA. If you don't know what a Roth IRA is, it's basically a retirement account that has special tax savings for saving for retirement. There's also other ways to use a Roth IRA before retirement without penalty that I covered in this video of 3 secret Roth IRA benefits you can use before retirement, which you can check out in the cards. But basically, you are using your paycheck dollars or money that you're taxed on to invest in this account. And when you are retired, you can actually pull this money out of your Roth IRA tax-free. The way I like to think about this is pay now or tax now, so you don't have to worry about your taxes later down the line. And for people that start super early, this is where you can really benefit. Chances are, if you're on the younger side, you have compound interest on your side. So you might be asking yourself, how much can I make with a Roth IRA? So let's assume a few things. Let's say you're making about $5,000 per month, or you're investing $5,000 per year at an age of 20 years old, and you retire at 65. And you have an average of 7% market return, right? So over the course of the years, your money will start actually compounding and actually grow to a whopping 1.5 million pre-tax. So we're already hitting our number. But let's say, maybe you're a late bloomer, you're not starting at 20 years old and all that sort of stuff. So if you start 10 years later, it gets cut down almost in half to 740,000K. So the earlier you start, the better. Now, if you don't know where to start in terms of your Roth IRA, I have a great free masterclass. You can go to kickassinvesting.com/masterclass. It'll teach you how to set this up in just over the weekend. But major thing is don't wait. And also I'll provide links to the bank rate calculators for this video as well, so you can see your numbers as well. All right, so what is the next step? We're not at that. In most cases, we might not be at that 1.2 million. What can we do? Well, the next step you can do is open up your 401k. Now, if you don't know what a 401k, it's actually also a retirement account that is sponsored by your employer. So these are for typically 9 to 5 type of people. But the caveat is that you don't have a wide selection of funds like you do if you're managing your own Roth IRA. After all, you can't control your brokerage account. The employer contracts with a brokerage and you're forced to use that. But on the plus side, you actually get an employer match where they actually give you pretty much free money. So you might be asking yourself, what is a match? So for every dollar you put in, the employer will match a certain amount up to a certain percent. So for example, if you have 100% of an employer match up to 6%, that means for every dollar that you invest in, your employer will match a full dollar and pay up and do that up to 6% of your whole entire salary. Pretty good, right? Now you might be asking yourself, what is the difference between like a Roth IRA and 401k? Well, unlike a Roth IRA, a 401k uses something called your pre-tax dollars. So that money before you get taxed on it. So basically when you retire and you pull out from your 401k, you get taxed on that amount. And the way I like to think of it as is pay later. So you're not paying on your taxes right now, but when you withdraw, when you're older, that's when you get taxed as well. And it helps if you're going to be in a lower tax bracket when you're older. So for people that start really early, this is where you can really benefit. Chances are, if you're on your younger side, you have compound interest by your side as well. So how much could you truly make with a 401k? Well, this is where it gets a little complicated, and there's a few factors to come into play, like in terms of how much is your match, what funds you're investing in. But let's do a few assumptions. Let's say that you're investing 10% with 80K and you have 100% match up to 6% of your income with the average rate of return of 7%. So if you start at 20 years old and you retire at 65, you make 3.8 million pre-tax. Not bad, right? Without a match, you're making about 2.3 million. But what happens if you start at 30 years old? Well, over the course of years, your money will start compounding and your money will only grow down to 1.5 million. So if you start just 10 years later, your amount gets cut down to 1.8 million with a match, and 1.2 million without a match. So again, start earlier if you can, but if you want to get a head start, make sure to check out my Kick-Ass Investing Academy, which is my full paid course where I break down each one of these accounts and you can get started in less than 4 weeks. I'll leave a link down below, but you can find the link at kickassinvesting.com/academy. And I'll leave the bank rate calculator as well so you can check your numbers. So chances are, if you haven't started your Roth IRA yet, the first step is to figure out where your brokerage company is. Which investing bank account do you want to start with? If you need help, you can start on my video in the cards where it's like where to start your Roth IRA. I'll leave you the link in the cards. If you're looking to start your Roth IRA, make sure to check out my free masterclass on how to build, optimize, and automate your Roth IRA in just over the weekend. Link is below. And finally, if you want to deep dive and get a head start, make sure you enroll into Kick-Ass Investing Academy. It's the #1 place where you can build, optimize, and automate all your investing accounts, including your 401k, Roth IRA, some self-employment accounts if you're self-employed, and things like your Roth 401k too. So make sure to check that out. But before we take off, I'd love to kind of hear, what sort of videos do you want to see next on my channel? Leave a comment below. Anyways, thank you for watching. Stay bold, stay kick-ass. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.